All right, guys, thank you guys for watching. This is the Play On podcast. What does it sound like I'm ending the video? But this is actually just starting episode 59 with Jesse and Jerry. Thank you so much for the support on the latest video. And it's over like, I don't know how many views, but it has a decent amount more than we usually get. And so we got that influx. So make sure to like and subscribe. It goes a long way. You'll make me, Jesse, more than likely happy, especially since Jesse had a pretty bad year when it comes to his football club.
Uh,
See, he lost to Arsenal.
ugh.
The team he has been trashing all season, he lost to him. So try to make him smile or anything. But yeah, there's not too much this week, Jesse.
yeah, I think well, basically the seasons are winding down, so everything's getting concluded. Like the Premier League's basically done.
Oh,
The
it is
rest
done.
is, yeah, it's done, except like some other teams are just fighting for like Champions League spots that, may or may not come out depending on results of other tournaments. Bundesliga's done, someone unfortunately won their first championship, but it doesn't really count because he won it with Bayern. Serie A is starting to wind down. It's still pretty close. Could be anyone's game. It's Napoli's game as long as they just, don't mess up. And French league's been over since, March.
Hmm. But Napoli do have that buffer if they do tie in points, they go into the playoff, and which is another final versus Inter Milan, which low key hoping for because there'll be something cool to see.
Yeah.
But it's
I
an
think
interesting
I
thing.
I think it's a rule that should be adopted by all leagues because I think it just makes it so much more, interesting and fun.
Yeah, because like even now in La Liga, the goal difference really doesn't make a difference unless each team has won their like what is it called? Their matchup against whoever they tie. So say
Hmm.
Barca Madrid, they tie. They tie in points. So now it goes to their what is it, their
Goal
matchup?
difference. Head to head, and then I think it's
Then it goes
it
to the goal difference at the end.
difference.
If, like
Yeah.
they each took one game. So I think it would have been cool just to throw that away, go to playoff.
Yeah. And plus it makes so much more sense because uh I goal difference is all right. Like some will say, oh, that's a sort of like the season, but sometimes it doesn't make sense because like sometimes you just catch a team at a really bad situation and you just get like 6 goals and then you're set for like the season. I feel
Yeah.
like just a straight off one match game is just so much more entertaining for the fans.
Yeah, because it's clearly they're both matching in points, won the same amount of games, tied or whatever. They ended up in the situation they are, and then they go to a final. So that's just straight up hype. Sure, that's another game. We've complained about the amount of games the players already have, but this is one of the most exciting ones. Let's be honest. We don't need Nations League. You could easily take a game off of there.
Well, think about it this way. The rest of the games that we complain about, it's because that's money for everyone else. Ex This game would be for the fans because it will be pure entertainment for them.
Yeah.
Like the rest of the games, like in the Supercopa de España, do we really need a semifinal before we've just had the final? Like we don't need that extra game.
Mhm. Like the UEFA Super Cup. Like I think the prime example is like just winner Champions League, winner of Europa League. Just fight. Because then what if they add winner?
Of the
Winner,
conference,
and yeah, winner of Conference League and faces like I don't know that's the what is it the second place of Champions League like it wouldn't make sense like they didn't earn their spot.
yeah. So ours is for the fans, theirs is for money.
Yeah, definitely. But Infantino being a Inter Milan fan, he could pull tricks up his sleeves and just put Milan on top. But yeah, that's the first thing we're gonna get into. Champions League. It's do or die for both teams. Both matchups are very close, one goal apart, and then the other one's tied. I will go
Yeah,
with the first one.
I got it right, Jerry. You were clowning me, and I was right.
I wasn't clowning you. I came in with a lot of,
Confidence.
yeah, a lot of that. Um, well, you know, I didn't know Gerard Martin would be that much of a.
A liability.
I kind of did know,
You
but
did
I
know.
didn't think they would expose it like they did.
I
But
I I told you Dumfries was coming back, and he went rabid.
Yeah, let's keep in mind, how did he come back with like no training and just put on an insane performance?
He was up against Gerard Martin. Might as
Yeah.
well just put a cone there.
But yeah, Barcelona immediately went down, got scored on the fastest goal in the Champions League semifinals ever within a minute.
Yes.
Then they go down two with the Humphreys very athletic bicycle kick. And then Barca brought it back and they ended up trading and eventually tying 3-3. But what I'm excited to see with I'm coming with a little bit more confidence is that it looks like Gerard Martin might not play. Uh, Hansi Flick might do his rotations, as you would say, and not put in Gerard Martin and put in Inigo at left back, Pau Cubarsí. Uh, Now it looks like it might be either Christensen or Eddie Garcia, and then Araujo at right back.
Yeah,
So
because
that solves
Kunde's
a little bit.
out.
Yeah, that solves a little bit of the issue when it comes to that. Because yeah, Kunde is out. He picked up a knock from that game. Well, a hamstring
Yeah.
injury.
But Hansi Flick has also come out and said that Lewandowski will start the game on the bench, which in some ways I think will also help Barcelona because it'll allow Ferran Torres to, be able to, allow the offensive flow more fluidly. I think he makes it with the speed that he has or the pace, it allows Barca to do, you know, the offense that they want to do or Hansi Flick's wants to do.
Hmm. But we'll see how it goes. I just saw right now that Lewandowski is cleared to play. Is he match fit? Probably not. I don't think Hansi Flick is going to risk it and put in start Lewandowski as striker. He might come in the second half or something. But yeah, Lamine Yamal just put on an insane performance against Inter Milan, and he tackles a goal and pretty much put the whole team behind his back. But yeah, we have to talk about Inter Milan too a little bit. Like,
Well, they have the advantage going into this game because they're playing at home at the San Siro.
hmm
Also, like we've said previously, serve as a deterrent, but this time I think it's an advantage that they are the most experienced, one of the most experienced squads in Europe, with the average age of 30, and they have been multiple times to the later stages of the Champions League. They haven't won it yet, but I think those experiences will help them handle this tie, especially second leg at home against a very young Barca team.
yeah, again, one of the oldest squads in the team. People are saying that they're overperforming, but no, you kind of see this is the kind of level that you expect for an experienced squad.
Hmm.
I am very prepared to for the worst possible thing for Barcelona. Um, yeah, I don't know going into the second half, but I think I do have that ease of mind of not having the liability at left back. But
Well,
again, it's kind of screwed because Inzaghi, the coach of Inter Milan, has kind of laid out his game plan, but he did say that he's gonna mark Lamine Yamal with two defenders going forward. Because in the first leg, he had to mark him with three defenders in the second half to try to nullify what he was doing.
I think the biggest problem actually for Inter will be their striking option because Lautaro Martinez is doubtful because he did pick up a muscle injury. So if he does miss out, that's a big miss for Inter, and there
It
will
would
be
be.
a lot more pressure on Thuram to carry that offensive load.
Yeah, there would be. It'll be a plus for Barcelona because they kind of alleviate that and like don't have to worry about him and just work on Thuram and either Arnautovic or Taremi.
Hmm.
But I have seen reports saying that he is ready to go in the second for the second leg, but I don't know how they do it, Jesse.
I, I I think I think he'll play, but I don't think he'll be like 100%. He might be like 80, 70. So, he might force it.
He'll do like the Lewandowski, just play like the second half probably.
Yeah, most likely. I think that would be best for them. But I think you say, the liability is gone, but we've seen that Inigo's moved to center back because he would sometimes play left back, but that
Hmm.
was in his younger days. And now he's going up against the ultra athletic Dumfries, so we'll see if he can handle that at his current state, current level or current
Yep.
age.
Well, we got to see how Inter Milan plays it, to be honest, too, because they play kind of loosely and yeah, granted, they did score 3 goals on Barcelona, but they also conceded three.
Well, we noticed that for the like past couple months or like the past couple games that Inter has been conceding a lot. So I don't know if there's like a fall in level from the defenders, or is it just like a fall of the defensive structure? You know, coaching plan just got figured out and their teams figure out how to score against them. Because when you look at the names, it doesn't really make sense that they're conceding so much.
And then you kind of have to also attribute to well, what would you say? 2 out of 3 goals from Inter Milan is just individual brilliance. Like no one saw Marcus Thuram just doing a casual back heel and scoring off of that. Same thing with Dumfries' athletic ability for the second goal. Like if Pedri or Rafinha puts their head into that shot, they would get their head blown off.
Yeah.
So again, they might have overperformed for that because Barcelona scored. What would you say? You kind of put them in also
But
in the limelight.
I think both sides had moments of brilliance that led to their goals.
Hmm.
It wasn't, I wouldn't say clear like when we showed previously like the Inter goal against Bayern where it was like teamwork, you know, Lautaro got in midfield, passed it out to the wing, they crossed it into Thuram and then he passed it back to Lautaro and then the finish. Like it wasn't very clear cut team goals. It was just like very moments of brilliance that you would like that we see at top level of play. Like, oh, that's why they play at that level.
Hmm.
Because like
Yeah.
also Barca relied heavily on Lamine Yamal having a great game.
Yeah, Rafinha wasn't having the best game. And it's kind of sad that they had to rely on a 17-year-old. But this is the perfect time for Barcelona to take an example, like what advantage of this, because if they have 2 or even 3 players on Lamine, that just means like the game is resting on Dani Olmo's hands because he's gonna have boatloads of space.
And I feel like Dani Olmo has sort of fallen off a level past couple games. I wouldn't if I was a Barca fan, I would be hoping for Fermin to play because I just think he's a little better than Dani Olmo.
Well, as far as Dani Olmo, he's kind of coming back from that injury from the latest one. Um, they're still trying to see if he could play the full 90 because like what is it, the past 2, 3 games he's been pulled and they've only played like 30, 60 minutes of each game.
Hmm.
I think this is gonna be one of the games where he has to play the full 90 and test them and even try to see if he could go and like not pick up an injury from that. Because it's kind of not all lost if Barcelona say they do lose that game. They can't dwell on that forever because they have a super
Uh,
important game on the weekend.
yeah. I think the biggest question mark is Rafinha because he has fallen off level like the past couple of weeks. Like, well, he was playing at a really good level, talks of him being winning the Ballon d'Oro, and he sort of hasn't stepped up. He's sort of taking a backseat to Lamine, and also, and that was crazy because Lamine was coming off like, as you were saying that you were hoping he would get a break and get rested. But even Rafinha's goal, like it hit the post, and then they got lucky that it hit Sommer's back to go
Hmm.
back in. So like I think he's the biggest question mark because I think what we know what we're gonna get from Pedri and I think it's the Jong starting, right? So I think we know what we get from them, and I think they're gonna still help stabilize, and it's up to Rafinha and Dani Olmo are the big question marks, really.
Yeah, Rafinha, I have a little bit more faith just because he finally got his La Liga goal after like almost 2 months of not scoring in La Liga. He got it this weekend and it was a crucial one. Like
Hmm.
that was eventually ended up being the game winner. But yeah, hopefully he gains confidence off of that. He has performed great in the Champions League thus far this season, and we're just gonna need more of that. Because even in the first leg against Inter, he did have a couple of chances, but didn't take full advantage of them at all. Like it sucked to see, Like we could have probably been a goal or two ahead. But yeah,
Well, I think both teams could have been like, up a goal ahead,
yeah.
especially with that unfortunate call that they had.
Unfortunate call. Which one?
The offside call
Which one?
for Inter?
Why was he outside?
No.
No, I saw you yesterday, but yeah, he was offside, Jesse, by the toe. As much as it hurts, Jesse, we have had
It
that
was
call against us a couple of times this season. Even last season.
it wasn't offside.
There was to a point where we also got called off by not even the toe, the boot, the tip of the boot. But it is what it is, Jesse. That's the high line Barcelona plays. It could end up being their downfall because a lot of the teams have been kind of breaking it sometimes. They're not getting as many offsides as they used to, but that's the risk you take. But yeah, and we can move on to the next matchup,
Oh
which
wait,
is
predictions?
ooh, I'm gonna say Barcelona 1-0.
1-0. I got 3-1 Inter.
Tough, tough. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. This tie is up in the air, in my opinion.
The Inter one or the next one?
They did what?
Yes. But I still give it to the advantage to Inter because they still are playing at home.
Yeah, which shouldn't have been the case if UEFA used their brain a little bit. But hey, not everyone's perfect. They did it next season. They'll do it next season for going forward, so which is cool. But yeah, we will go to the next leg, which was Arsenal versus PSG.
Hey, I called it. They were gonna leave with a 1 goal lead, Jerry.
I think I backed you up on that, no?
No, I think you picked Arsenal. Arsenal or a draw.
No, I have the notes here, but I know the Barca game, I was super overconfident. I was telling everyone Barcelona was gonna win like 3-0. Didn't
Yeah, no, you
happen.
said it here.
I guess the amount of goals they scored, I'll tell you that. Oh, I did put a tie. And it was close. Arsenal had, well, they didn't really have their chances. PSG ended up
Yeah.
putting everything away. But yeah, Arsenal was, I think, as we said it best, they were fishing for fouls.
That's what they against, opponents that they feel like they're inferior to. They just fish for fouls around the area and hope for like their set piece, their coach to basically come out and, get them that goal.
Hmm. Yeah, clearly they scored the most goals off set pieces. That's what they want. That's what they're comfortable with because PSG kind of shut them down a little bit. There were still a couple of chances off Arsenal, but they, nothing super dangerous.
I think the first half, like, Ousmane Dembele got the goal, and then there was the penalty call that was not given
Hmm.
that I felt like it was surprising because I felt like was pretty clear cut. Uh, Timber straight up blocked his path, and then
Oh, you're
you
talking
know,
about, yeah, the obstruction?
yeah,
Yeah, because normally that would be called off in, like if it was in at midfield, but in this one it was in penalty box. So like, yeah, probably not.
yeah, and then from there the game kind of slowed down, especially because Timber was falling a lot, like Kvaratskhelia was getting hit a lot, and he didn't get any yellows, so like
Hmm.
which allowed Arsenal to be like, okay, he's not going to give any yellow, so we can be very aggressive with them and slow the game down. So whenever
Yeah.
like PSG would try going for a counter or anything quick pace, that would immediately get shut down with a quick foul, knowing that no repercussions was coming.
Yeah, you texted me during the match, like, when the fuck is Timber getting a yellow card? Because he constantly, yeah, there was so many occasions where he kept knocking him down. I can't even count the amount of fouls he did in the first half.
Yeah, he did so many, and yet no card was given to him.
Mm-mm. They got away with it. It's probably because they were playing at home. But yeah, you would have liked to see a yellow card, and they would have definitely put Timber in the back foot a lot just because he can't be as aggressive. But one thing, PSG could have been up to 0 from one of the most clear chances, which was Gonzalo Ramos. The
Yeah,
one-on-one versus the goalkeeper. I think he thought he was offside.
I think so too, because the way he handled it, it didn't seem like he didn't think it was, he was on, and I think he was just, playing around.
Yeah, because he just straight up towed the ball, which is very confusing because you're clear cut one-on-one with the goalkeeper. That's not what something you would think he would do. You normally like you shoot it across,
Yeah,
and
and
it's
I
still
think
even almost went in.
I think that's a mental lapse because coaches have told are like tell players like finish the play, even though because you never know uh now with VAR that you could, end up with a goal, even though they might call it offsides because it's everything's gonna get reviewed from a goal scoring chance.
Hmm. Definitely. So maybe that's why he's not a starter in this PSG squad because he doesn't have the mental capacity for that and didn't have the fortitude to even finish it. But yeah, he was not offside. He was very clear cut onside, and I know Luis Enrique gave him a talking to over the weekend,
That's one way to put it because if it was me, I know exactly what I'm telling
going to the youth team.
you. Yeah.
But yeah, Arsenal, do they have a chance in Paris, Jesse?
No, I don't see it, especially because it looked like it might be sketchy that Ousmane Dembele because he did leave the second half with a knock, but he is back in training and it looks like he's set to play in the match. I think with him back and then Kvaratskhelia and Due and even Barcola off the bench, I still think their firepower is still there and their midfield is still, really good. I still think they go through. Especially with Donnarumma, he's found back some form because after the Euro, he was very shaky, and I feel like he's back to, being a really good shot stopper, which I think goalies have forgotten that that's a part of their job.
Yeah, that's very true. He has improved a lot. He was put to the test a couple times in the Arsenal game. One thing he's still a question mark in is a question he has a question mark in his game is coming out for the ball. And I'm surprised more teams haven't exploited that even this season. But yeah, as far as for me, I think I have PSG winning it still. Like being at home, they're comfortable. And even when they played in the Emirates, like I don't know why English fans have a huge section for away fans. That felt like a
If
PSG home game.
Yeah, I heard the PSG fans more louder than the English fans, and that's funny because you know how the English fans always say, "Oh, we have the best atmosphere in the games and all this." How are you getting outshouted by a small section of, traveling fans?
I wouldn't
If
even
you're
say
so,
a small section. I think that's where they're screwing up. Like in Spain, they're putting you up to the third row all the way as far as you can. And in
yeah,
England, they give you a whole section right front row, and you're right there. It's like you guys are doing that to yourselves.
yeah.
But yeah,
English fans, what can we say?
yeah, I got PSG winning the tie like 3-0 to be honest.
Same. I don't see any way it happens, especially because they're so reliant on Saka. Because Odegaard has really he's dropped a lot in level this year. I don't know if he's struggling with an injury or what, but he just looks unreliable really because he hasn't produced any moments that like we're used to seeing him, cutting the through pass through the defense or taking a shot from mid-range or just being effective in general. It looks like he's also become like part of the Arsenal system where he's just looking for Xhaka and then passing to him, hoping for the best.
Hmm. Yeah, that's very true. Another thing too, Martinelli got shut down by Hakimi easily. Like they try to rely on Martinelli's pace so much. Like, no, this guy's just as fast, if not faster, and even stronger at that point.
Yeah, and it's funny because Martinelli is no longer young anymore, so you would have expected him to develop another move besides, just outpace. Like to survive at the top level, you need to be able to rely on more than just pace. You need to have, a secondary move or a third move to keep your defender on their toes. But all he does is rely on his pace, sends it forward and hopes that he outruns them and then gets a one-on-one with the goalie. But you can't do that.
No, you can't. You can't. You have to develop it. Now you're going to be a Europa League player soon, or even a Conference League player. But yeah, because teams take note of that easily. But moving on, Europa League, things are kind of set.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it didn't work out in our favors for a couple of those ties. Like Atletico Bilbao versus Man U. We were bigging up Bilbao, saying top team from La Liga against bottom team of England. They failed us, Sherry, really badly.
Yeah, they conceded a goal and then they got a red card almost immediately right after. So they shot themselves in the foot. And then Man U took a full advantage of them and shout out to them. They didn't look back, dude. They took advantage of that whole thing. And then there's the memes going around of Harry Maguire being the best winger in the world.
Yeah.
He put on the moves, dude. I can't even say anything. But yeah, shout out to Man U. Probably the most notable player is Lenny Yoro. He's just constantly improving and showing why there was interest from like huge clubs in the world like Real Madrid.
Yeah. It's kind of annoying to see Man U doing well, especially against a Spanish team, because that just gives them so much more room to talk.
I know, I want to hear it now, like, oh my God, our team in 17th place beat a top five La Liga team. It's like, well, there's more context to it. But
Yeah. And it's even worse because I don't see any reversal in the tie because they're playing at Old Trafford,
Mhm.
even though he's broken down, but like they're playing at home. They have a 3-0 lead. They're just gonna park the bus and go for the
Yeah.
counter.
Yeah, and it's pretty much Amorim's system, how he likes to play, five in the back, shoot the ball forward, just go vertical. So it's gonna be a watch, definitely. Well, not really. I don't know. I'll probably have it in the background, but I think the other tie is a little bit more interesting. Bot Glint versus Tottenham. Tottenham won 3-1, but
Yeah.
I think Bot Glint is showing life, especially at home, having a just being down two goals.
Yeah, they're going there. And plus they Spurs have picked up a lot of injuries because I know Son's doubtful. Solanke picked up a knock, and so did James Madison. And I think
Hmm.
James Madison's out for the rest of the season. And also Bergvall is also out of the season. So those were very key cogs in the team because all of them would be starters in like their full strength starting 11.
Hmm.
So even though you could say it's a lower team like Glint, but they showed life. And, like we said previously, a two-goal lead's the most dangerous.
Hmm. So sadly, Man U might even win the Europa League. So they're probably gonna be in Champions League next year if Bot Glint does go, because I don't know, Man U's kind of actually playing pretty well to comes to the end of the season. And it's surprising to say, you know,
I think it's gonna be a similar situation to last year where they just won the FA Cup and they get
they get in.
yeah.
Hey, at that point, Amorim did his job. You can't knock the dude for pretty much what would you say? Finding diamonds in your backyard.
Yeah, he'll have done more than Arteta in 6 years and like half a season with Manu.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, those ties are pretty much kind of set. Again, Tottenham one you could look for it a little bit, but
I
still
I
difficult.
think I think it'll be a match if Bodø/Glimt gets the first goal because then they'll make it really interesting. But if Spurs get a goal, I think it ends a tie.
Oh yeah, immediately. Like that's the end of the game.
Yeah.
Um, but the Conference League, I think Betis won 3-0 and Chelsea won like,
No, Betis lost 1-2 to Fiorentina, and then Chelsea beat Djurgården 4-1.
oh
So
right.
the Chelsea one's over. Betis one is gonna be tough because they're playing at Fiorentina
Hmm.
and they're one goal behind. But I think that's probably the most interesting tie of all the remaining European competitions.
Even the Champions League,
I mean like
Europa,
yeah,
Europa
Europa
Conference.
Conference.
Yeah, definitely. Anthony just scored a worldie too. I think David De Gea said like, yeah, I wasn't. I think pretty sure it might even be a fake quote. It was like something along the lines of he said I was in Man U training and he's never scored anything like that with his right foot. But
Well, that's what happens. We've been saying it. You leave Man U, good things happen.
big facts, big facts. But um, as far as the leagues, we have the Bundesliga. Bayern Munich tied. They at one point had the trophy in their grasp. They tied, so they had to wait an extra day and see the result of Leverkusen, and Leverkusen let my boy Jesse down.
Yeah, it's been like a whole year of disappointments. Everyone's decided to let me down this year, so it's just painful, really.
Yeah, so Bayern Munich got their title. It's so huge and monumental that Fabrizio Romano had a tweet that Harry Kane won his first major trophy.
His first professional trophy, yeah.
Well, professional, he's won the Nations League, but again, that's why he's saying major trophy. But yeah, shout out Harry Kane.
No, no,
Didn't
shout
know
out.
you had it in you. You're
No, dude,
clearly
you
not the
went.
curse.
No, he went Bayern Munich, ruined Kingsley Coman's, streak of winning a league title every year that he's been a professional. Stopped Bayern Munich's 16, 15 year straight run of winning the Bundesliga, and then had to win it in his second year, and he only got one trophy this year with Bayern Munich in Germany. So no. There's
Hey
a
man.
one meme going around about it that, I can't say on YouTube, but it's basically, if you know, you know. That's what it is.
Uh, it's like considering your bike your first car. But yeah, Harry Kane won his title. So did Eric Dyer. No one really talks about him, but yeah, he won a title.
I forgot he was there.
But yeah, one more year of Vincent Company. Bayern Munich, they, I wouldn't even say he did a fantastic job. You're expected to win the Bundesliga and probably by a bigger margin. It had to come down pretty much to the last two legs or three,
Yeah.
three games.
And plus, you're supposed to win in dominating fashion, and I feel like they barely scraped by this season with
Hmm.
like some of the results.
Yeah. So there's still like teams fighting for European competitions, Dortmund being one of them. I think they're close to it. If not, I don't know what position they're in, but they won this past weekend. Let me see.
Uh, yep, they're currently in fifth, 1 point behind fourth and Freiburg, so they could, sneak into the Champions League spot.
So yeah, they're up for grabs. And as far as Serie A, nothing changed. Napoli and Inter both won their games. I think both of them won barely by one goal. Yeah, Napoli won 1-0 against Lecce, and then Inter won 1-0 too against Verona. Super close tie coming down to the last two legs. Again, we've talked about it in the first part of the podcast at the very beginning. If they tie in points, they go to a playoff and a final.
Which
So,
is what we're all hoping for.
yes. But yeah. Then as far as La Liga, still nothing changed. Barcelona was down. Mounted a comeback. Real Madrid was up 3-0 and they almost choked the 3-0 lead and they won 3-2. And yeah, I don't know. Jesse, what do you think of your makeshift back four?
Uh, there's one person that, really scares me in that back four.
Who's that?
I think we all know who that is, and that's on the right side, though the person that's not a defender.
Chouameni?
No, I think Lucas Vasquez.
Oh,
You
hopefully
know
he
which
starts for the Clásico.
which is looking like it. I know there might say that they might put Fede there, but with Tchouaméni having to move back and play center back, I think it's gonna be tough to, keep Fede away from that midfield role.
Yeah,
Because
especially because
also,
there's also Camavinga injury.
yeah, so I think it's gonna be a tough one.
Yeah. They almost gave it up. Madrid had full control in the first half, and then in the second half, things got very scary.
Yeah, Asensio picked up a knock, and for him to be ready for the Clásico, they subbed in the younger Castilla players, Jacobo Ramon, who's supposed to be promising, but I think we mentioned it in a previous podcast that he came on in the Copa del Rey, and I said he didn't look like he was up to level, and he showed it again because he looked like he was, you know, a step behind every play.
Yeah, and that's the risk you run, and maybe that's why Ancelotti doesn't trust young players. But at this point, he has to, because yeah, like play Vallejo. He's right there.
And I can't
What's
say
the
Jerry
worst?
Way.
What could be worse?
I think he might be on that level or worse.
But
But
at least he's earning his money at that point. You know, he has a contract. At least he's gonna earn it.
well, I think it's his last year, so hopefully he's gone. But you say why he doesn't trust young players, but Arda Güler is proving him wrong because the past couple weeks he's just been money. He's looking so good and he's earning his spot, I think, for next year for possibly depending how, the transfer situation works out for him to be a starter.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like Rodrigo's kind of out the door, and it looks like Arda Güler is taking full advantage of that, and I think he's starting in the Clásico. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and plus he helps stabilizes the midfield by being able to carry the ball and connect the two lines. So I think it's gonna be very good. I think he's gonna keep on. He might be the bright spot of Real Madrid for like the rest of the season.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, the Clásico, I think probably the biggest match of this week, even considering the Champions League, because Real Madrid's not in it, so it's not as
Yeah,
big.
everything's on the line. Barcelona currently has a 4-point lead in La Liga, so this won't be the end all be all, but they do have two very tough matches at the end of the season, which is the last two matches for Barcelona are Bilbao.
Yeah, yeah, that's a very end. That's the last one.
That's the last one. And what's the second? Villarreal. They play Villarreal at home.
Yeah, Villarreal. Let me.
So it's not an easy thing. If they do win this match, they have a two-game lead, so they won't have to win the next game, and they'll be pretty much done, and they don't have to rely on the last two games. So a lot at play. Real Madrid is trying to stick it in and again bring it down to the final game. So anything can happen. But what I want to talk to you, Jesse, is what's your ideal starting lineup for this game for Real Madrid?
Let's see.
The best chance of winning.
All right,
Raise your eyebrow, dude. You can't raise one?
I'm trying. I'm trying.
Jesus. All right, I'm gonna clip that for TikTok.
Mm, 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 mm.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah,
All you're missing is the gum, like the 40 pounds of gum.
let me get a paper. I'll chew on it right now. No, I think my ideal lineup would be Fetty on the right because Lucas Vasquez, even though it'll be a big miss on the midfield, especially with Tuchmani already having to drop back and Camavinga being out. I just think Lucas Vasquez is that much of a liability because the last thing we want is to allow Rafinha to get hot
Hmm.
when we already have to worry about Lamine Yamal on the other side. So I'd rather have just Fetty there and just eliminate that because you know, and then we'll have Tuchmani because he's the only center back we have that, or the only other person that can play center back with Raul Asensio, and then Fran Garcia because that's the only people available really,
Hmm.
and then Courtois obviously in goal. I think we'll stay. I think Ancelotti will stick with a 4-4-2, and I think it'll be Guler on the right, and then it'll be Ceballos, and then I think he'll start Modric
Hmm.
with Jude on the left, and then uh Vinny and then Mbappe on top. Because originally I would have preferred to maybe get Modric out, put Jude there, and then Rodrigo. But as we've said previous, or I don't know if we said previously, but we've said in like conversation that Rodrigo has really sort of checked out, really, because he doesn't feel as loved or as important on the team.
Yep.
He feels like he's a third fiddle, like the side chick, and he doesn't like whenever someone's gonna get substituted from the front three, it's always him. He doesn't really complete matches, and he always like he's not given the prominent role. So I feel like because before he would do the dirty work and would track back and defend really well and give his energy in that, but that hasn't really happened the past couple of weeks. So I would have given the left midfield role to him, but given the current form, I just can't leave that to him or give it to him.
Right now, I have the perfect starting 11 for Barcelona because right now, Barcelona, Hansi Flick is in heaven because Real Madrid has no true center back other than Asensio. So he could exploit the whole back line easily. Or not easily, but like he could exploit it and make a game plan around it. And I do think he's capable of doing that. So what I think he's gonna do is play Chesney because he already said that Chesney's gonna starting goalkeeper from going forward. Right
Yeah.
back is gonna be Araujo. It's gonna be Pau Cubarsí, Inigo, and then Balde is back. He's not playing the Inter match, but he is back for this match. Then I think I'll play Frankie, Pedri, and Dani Olmo. And then on the right side will be Lamine, Lewandowski. I think he'll be fit and he'll be back. And then uh Rafinha on the left. But I think the whole thing is going to be to try to exploit that left center back, specifically Tchouaméni, because he has been cooked in the past.
I think he's gonna put Tuchemani on the right center back role. So it's gonna be Asensio on the left center back role.
Well, that's why, yeah, well, my bad. Like, yeah, they'll take advantage of the right center back, so it's the left side of Barcelona. And there'll be a lot of Keita Balde running finally down the wing. And again, Tchouaméni he's not fast laterally. In the first Clasico, Tchouaméni was getting burned by his bad positioning, and then on top of that, his lateral movement by Rafinha. Because I think the third or fourth goal, all he did was make a cut to the right, took Tchouaméni out of play, and just scored instantly. So I think it's be a good plan for them. And then on top of that, I think it'll be a tough match for Lamine because I think slowly but surely, Fran Garcia is gaining confidence in how he's playing. Because in the previous Clásico for the Copa del Rey,
Hmm.
Fran Garcia was getting cooked for like the first 10 minutes. But then once Real Madrid started getting a footing into the match, Fran Garcia was at a point where he was stopping Lamine Yamal.
Yeah, and I think also those first 10 minutes was he did come in as substitute like
Yeah,
without no preparation. So
he wasn't up to game speed, and he had to pick up on it, and he was like being too nippy and trying to get the ball pretty fast.
hmm.
And now he's gonna know that he has to sit back and try to sit on it and wait for him to make another move and just double team Lamine when you can. So I think it would be a tough match for Lamine. But again, that's where like Dani Olmo has to take advantage of that space that he's gonna have.
Yeah. I think I think we're both gonna be exploring our defense because they're both I feel like they're both beginning to show cracks. Like even in the Clásico, I with the Cubarsí and Inigo, but like with Araujo now in there, if it's shown if you run straight at them, they because they're not used to like having uh have forwards run straight at them
Hmm.
as they're used to, like especially this season. Like they'll just get cooked outpaced by, especially with Vinny and Mbappe, especially Vinny or I mean Mbappe who came on in the second half. He was just like, he nutmegged Inigo and then was going off with I think with Luka Modric, if he starts, and with Güler also now starting, now Real Madrid possesses players that have that killer ball ability,
Hmm.
and they can send a ball that will split defenses and catch Barcelona's high line off finally. Because as we've seen in the previous Clásicos, Real Madrid has never been able to exploit Barca's uh high line. They would always send a ball a couple seconds late, and I've always and like Real Madrid before had players that had the ability to do that with Cruz and Modric and like other
Yeah.
players of that ilk, but with like Jude, I feel like doesn't have that level of passing ability or even Tchouaméni or Camavinga. Maybe they develop it in their later years, but they currently don't possess it. Guler, said and I believe he does have it, and he's sometimes shown glimpses of it. So because all you need for that really is a pacey forward and a good ball through, and we have those with Vinny and Mbappe. So hopefully Guler can like I said, be the star of the match and then send those balls.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be a different match for Barcelona because they've never played against Güler for a full 90. And if Güler gets a good 20 to 30 minutes and puts good balls to Mbappe and Vinicius, it'll be a tough match. So I think they have to pay close attention not only to Vinicius and Mbappe, but to Güler because he's very capable of putting through balls and even having a good long range shot. So it's
And
gonna
then
be like a
also,
different Clásico than what we're used to. We've seen like this the course of this season.
yeah, and I feel like that's been happening a lot from like the first one. It's like it's evolved to like a different chess match each time. because we're each bringing different stuff each time, and this one's I think is probably gonna be the most different of all with just like the personnel especially just changing so much. And I think Real Madrid they might be relying a lot on set pieces because as we said, Guler has shown with Turkey especially that he is a very good set piece player that he can give an accurate ball so like corners can be more deadly and like a short free kick and things like that.
Yeah. And that's where the both goals from the Supercopa, not Supercopa, the Copa del Rey they come from, which Mbappe free kick and a corner kick. So it's gonna be a very intense match. I wouldn't be surprised if this game ties. But we'll see. One thing Real Madrid does have to hope is they don't go down 1 or 2-0 because
Yeah.
at that point, Ancelotti, he's known he'll just go full on attack and start sending everyone forward, and that's just like exactly what Barcelona wants.
Yeah, and I think in that desperation state, like you don't have the center backs or the defenders that can, especially now, they don't have anyone to command the line
Hmm.
because there's no veterans presence that like knows what to do. Like, sure, you could probably say Fetty would be the most veteran of that, but he's not a right back, so he won't know the specifics or anything of like how when to time like to do offside traps and things like that to be able to lead that line. You could say you would hope that Asensio, as being the only center back of that group to be able to lead that line. But this is his first professional season or like his first season at the senior level.
Hmm.
So you can't put that on him and expect him to be able to lead Tuchemeni, Fran Garcia, and Valverde against Barcelona. Like I think it'll be too much to his shoulders because he's already can have his hands full trying to, just keep up.
Yeah. So that's my hope. Barcelona goes up 2-0.
I think
Ancelotti
they'll,
just puts everything in the fire and goes full out attack, and we end up winning what 5-0, 6-0, something.
yeah, I think this is going to be a match where there will be a red card. I think tempers will flare. And as we saw towards the end of the Copa del Rey, people were getting emotional, and especially now because this will be the last El Clasico of the season, and it holds the entire hopes of Real Madrid, especially to finish on a good note.
Hmm.
So, and depending on Barca, if depending on the Champions League result, they might have a lot of hopes pinned on this result or this match as well.
Definitely. So what's your prediction, Jesse?
I'll go 3-2 Real Madrid.
I'll go because Barcelona pretty much has almost a full week of rest because they don't play till Sunday.
It's
Yep,
Saturday.
Sunday.
Why is mine show Saturday?
Trust me, I'm the same way because I think we were talking about it over the past weekend, but yeah, it shows it's Sunday from now on. It's at 9:15 a.m. Sunday, yep, 9:15.
Dude, why is
Is your foot mob updated?
well, I'm doing it on my laptop, so
Your laptop foot mob? Oh, yeah, that's weird. But yeah, it's Sunday.
all right.
And I'll check SofaScore too. But yeah, given Barcelona has like a decent amount of rest from
Set
Champions League.
from Tuesday, yeah. Well, that also depends. It could go another 120 minutes.
Yeah, that's hoping. I don't hope. I really don't hope they don't go extra times, but I think Barcelona will win 3-1.
I think this will be the most nerve-wracking one so far.
Yeah. And we have the benefit of playing at home, which is awesome. And I think either
Uh,
way, it's gonna be a good atmosphere overall.
is it finally going to be at the Camp Nou? Because I know they were saying that towards the end of the season there can be a couple games played there. It won't be like at full capacity yet,
Mm-mm.
but no, no, not this one.
No, not this one. I think they're waiting for it. There's been images of like a lot of improvements finally going to the Camp Nou. But no, I even expected. I didn't think they were gonna play this year or this season at least in the Camp Nou, just because constructions, new what's it called stadiums, they tend to get delayed.
Yeah.
So hopefully next season. But yeah, um, any other things you want to talk about, Jesse?
College football is over, or it's the game is gone.
Yeah, players are making super teams and party chatting with other players to go to a specific school, or even they're just taking the biggest offer possible.
Yeah, everyone's just transferring to whoever gives them a bigger paycheck, and teams are just spending money like crazy now that they can do it legally. Because it's last year it was projected or it was said that their Ohio State's national championship winning team cost them 20 million, which is a lot for a college football team.
Hmm.
Well, apparently now this year Texas's football team is project or valued at 40 million. So it looks like the prices are just getting higher and higher, and it's game's gone.
Yeah, and a lot of schools are probably gonna look towards investing some money like that or trying to find ways where they could scrape money like that, and that's going to be at the cost of other sports, like maybe tennis, volleyball, but game's gone, Jesse. This is what the players got played finally, but
At what
they did,
cost?
yeah, at what cost? They didn't, I think they should have set up a salary cap so it could be an even playing field. Because yeah, you some players went to smaller schools and won championships, put up numbers, but now I think it's just whoever gives me the most money, I'll go.
Yeah, and then also they'll just stay there for as long as they can. Like we've seen like 6 year, 7th year seniors, like mans with families, like going up against like teenagers, like
Well, you're
just
supposed to win, dude. I hope you get an understanding of the playbook. You've been here for 30 years.
like you're a grown as adult. You literally have two kids, you're married. Like, of course you're physically stronger than me. You're 28, I'm like 19.
Yeah, or even like the wide receiver from Alabama, who's a
Yeah,
absolute beast that reclassed that technically should be a senior in high school,
high school. Yeah.
was dominating the football game, and it just takes one 30-year-old being salty that he's getting cooked to like end his career.
Yeah, and it's crazy that this is what's come to I'm to. Because now he really has to be, I think he probably has to be more aware because, these guys, they don't care. Like if they're already like if they're like 27, they're still playing college football. They don't care about like anything else.
No, this is their league.
Yeah.
But yeah, and even then, I would advise the player to sit out for the last year. Maybe play this year. If you get hurt, obviously don't risk it, or don't even play next year either, because you
Yeah.
know every teams are already scouting you to this point. NFL teams, so anyone would want that player.
Yeah. And also if you're not going for like the national championship, don't play ball games. Like what's the point?
But yeah, you could drop your draft stock, like apparently Shadeur Sanders did. That's one of the reasons he fell, but we know
Yeah.
there's more into it. But yeah, game's
It,
gone.
game's gone. So hopefully in 2 years, we'll trade up and get the Alabama wide receiver just because I think he's so cold.
Definitely, he's a beast. But yeah, this has been episode 59 of the Play On podcast. Again, thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe. Jesse, you have something to say?
Did I?
I don't know.
No.
I saw you like prepping for to say something, so I was like, oh,
No, I was just pressing to do the outro, preparing to do the outro.
all right, for sure. But I beat you to it. But yeah, like and subscribe. Send this to a friend. Peace.